Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about how to leverage Clearly Cloud's UCaaS platform to help you meet the needs of your business customers today and into the future. We're not going to talk about replacing your Class 5 switch. I was at a session this morning down in Lake Geneva for the Wisconsin State Telephone Association where that was discussed in depth. It's a very interesting problem. If anybody wants to talk to us about it, we can. But we're really focused on business customers, and I believe we have a lot to offer local exchange carriers as they look to meet those needs of their business customers without, you know, capital investment, changing their infrastructure significantly. We believe we can augment what you have and meet the needs of your business customers. As part of the demonstration, I'm going to take you end to end on how to order a location in Clearly Cloud, where your phone numbers will manifest themselves in that application. And after that, we'll configure the PBX and actually make a call into the IVR. And finally, we'll go over our call panel, which is our WebRTC soft phone and communications console. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the motivations for why LECs will be looking at this solution, or at least we hope why they're looking at the solution, and then our proposal for the local exchange carrier community, why our architecture works well in this situation, and what our feature set is. And then we'll move into the live demo, which is where we'll spend most of our time. So who is Clearly IP? We are a VoIP company. That's our flagship product is Clearly Cloud, which is what we'll be talking today. It's our UCaaS platform, but we also do a number of other things that I'm just going to highlight quickly. We manufacture our own SIP phones and FXX gateways, from a 2-port gateway to a modular 96-port gateway. Those are all manufactured, and they're great devices. The SIP phones and gateways are great devices, and we sell them at great prices to our partners. That's the only way we sell them today. We do sell SIP trunking, and we do have a platform, a premise-based platform designed specifically for the hospitality industry that is very successful. It operates in over 1,800 hotels nationwide, serving more than 400,000 hotel rooms. And that's a brief rundown of Clearly IP and where we position ourselves as a VoIP provider. So why are we talking to the LEC community in specific? Well, one thing, I come from the LEC community. I ran a local exchange carrier here in Wisconsin for a number of years. What my thinking of the LEC environment is today is that you're investing in fiber. You're taking advantage of the government funding that's now available, but you've been investing in fiber for a long time, and you've been doing it because that fiber is what your constituents need to be able to compete with everybody else in the country right now. And you're staving off competition because there's a lot of overbuilding going on, even by the big guys. But as you build out this fiber, you're losing the advantage that you once had when all your customers were on DSL. When your customers were on DSL, as LECs, and I know this, we had a better voice service than anybody coming in over the top of our DSL product. It wasn't necessarily meeting the needs of our business customers, but it was better than anything else they could get. With your fiber investment now, you're basically opening the door for Ring Central and Vonage and anybody else to come and take those business customers away from you, those business customers and the voice revenue that you had counted on as part of your justification for that fiber build. So we believe that in a partnership with Clearly IP, we can help you retain that revenue and get the maximum return on that fiber investment. Business voice requires constant investment. There's constantly new features. We are constantly adding features to the product, and basically in a cloud environment, those features manifest themselves with each release. Residential features are much more stagnant. But in the workplace, you have mobile workforce, you need advanced queuing in your calling. And we'll be talking a little bit, if we have some time, about future AI integration that will be involved in almost all business voice systems going forward. Finally, we want to talk about the fact that fiber in itself, as you've been putting in, has been less reliable for things like faxing elevators and security panels. And we have specific gateway and other solutions for those problems as you build out your fiber. So here's our proposal. Keep your numbers, keep your customers, and then leverage our Clearly Cloud for Business solution for your voice customers. It's got a state-of-the-art feature set. As I said, it's under continuous development. It's a highly resilient architecture spread across multiple data centers with multiple connections to the internet. It supports a mobile workforce. The platform comes with every license. It comes with our Clearly Anywhere mobile client, as well as our call panel, which you'll be demonstrating today, which is a soft phone and communication console, WebRTC soft phone and communication console that can run on your desktop or your laptop. For those customers who demand an MS Teams integration, we can integrate with MS Teams. We can also SMS enable your phone numbers for these clients as well. So if your business customers are looking to stay in touch, do report appointment reminders or anything else with SMS, we can help make that happen. And the last advantage of this solution is that as you branch out, you might have branches that are in your LEC footprint, but as you move out into your CLEC footprint or even beyond, and you want to sell that customer whose geography doesn't match yours exactly, we can transparently provide an integrated service across that entire geography, leveraging your numbers and your infrastructure where it exists. Right. So what is the architecture I'm talking about today? I'm not going into any drawings today, but it's a distributed multi-tenant UCaaS platform. So these are not premise-based PBXs running in VM machines in the box. This is a multi-tenant platform with separate media servers, separate video servers, separate voice processing servers, or telephony application servers, designed to scale and meet the needs of our clientele and hopefully your clientele. Again, we can configure this. You would connect to us via standard SIP trunk the way you would any other SIP PBX in your system. No difference in that sense. Clearly, Cloud can be configured with your phone numbers, so there's no porting required at all. So what does that mean? That means the inbound call is going to come to your LEC switch, and you're going to deliver it over that SIP trunk the way you would to any other SIP PBX today. On the outbound side, the SIP devices are registered directly to us the way they would with a premise PBX as well. We can deliver those calls back to you undipped, or we can deliver them to the outside world, and we can work with you on what that means and how that impacts you either way. What are the features that we have? Well, we have all the features you would expect in a modern business voice system. We're going to talk about, easily configured auto attendance, IVRs, integrated audio and video conferencing, as well as call queuing. All these features come standard with a license. There's no, other than SMS and fax, which really kind of run just outside of the PBX, the tenant PBX, all the other features are part and parcel of every extension license, including our mobile application as well as our WebRTC desktop application. So all the features you would expect to see, hunting, ring groups, calling queues, everything is there. And so I'm just going to move into a live demo. Now I'm going to sign in as a reseller. So I'm going to sign in very much mimic what your experience would be if you were a partner of ours. always forget I have to hit escape here in order to get to what I'm trying to get to. All right. Thank you. Hopefully you can still see this. So what you're looking now is at the reseller sign-in. I've highlighted the fact that there is some branding that we can do at this level. So not you as a reseller will see your brand. And if you delegate any PBX administration down to your customers, they could see your brand as well. So there are some branding things you can do. From the reseller level, you can see all the call details for all of your customers. These can be downloaded and in a number of different ways, but they can be downloaded right from here. You will get a list of your clients. These are your customers, and you can see all the clients that you've created. And then what you'll see is then you can connect as those clients and take care of their PBX for them. A couple of other things you can do at the reseller level is see reports. These are really audit reports that show you who made what change to what system when. And again, you can see that at the reseller level as well. And you can see all the users or all the extensions you've ever created on the platform. We're going to click on clients. Oh, I'm going to just step back from here. I actually jumped into the screen that I didn't necessarily want to jump into right away because the other screen wasn't here. So I'm going to just jump into another screen real quickly here. And I apologize for that delay. This is our e-commerce portal, and I think this will make a lot more sense when we start from our e-commerce portal. So that's what I'm going to do. So again, I'm still signed in as this training reseller. So you can imagine me as playing the role that you would play. And everything begins and ends with this thing called a location. A location in this case is a tenant PBX or a SIP trunking endpoint, but we're going to focus on the tenant PBX today. So we're going to buy an instance of Clearly Cloud. We're going to right now go buy and set up an instance of Clearly Cloud. And what you're going to see now is your options for that purchase. I'm going to start with the Gold Platinum. That's our standard partner level. We're going to start with 2 users and take a look. So as you run through the portal, what you'll see is the pricing of what this platform is going to cost on a monthly basis and first month charges as well. I just want to highlight the pricing. So what you're seeing here is the pricing you would pay. What you charge your customers is completely up to you. As we increase this number, you'll see all the pricing is tiered. So the first 10 users cost, in this case, I think $18.74 each. That goes down by about $1 as you move from 11 to 50 users, or 51 to 100 goes down by an additional $1, and then from 101 to 250 goes down by an additional $1 in these prices. Again, these are prices that you would pay for the service. You could sell this to your customers at whatever price you wanted to sell it for. If you were to choose a 36-month service, you would see these prices go down considerably. So it goes down with contracts, and all of it is very transparent. As you're ordering the system, the system for your customers, you are able to see exactly what price you would be paying for the service. I'm going to drive this back down to 2, and because it's easier for me to clean up at the end, I'm going to go back to month-to-month pricing. Vanity users are users that do not make outbound phone calls. So paging devices, shared voice mailboxes, anything that doesn't make an outbound phone call. If you assign a vanity user to a device that has a dialer on it and they attempt to dial, it would be able to make a 911 call. So you would be able to make a 911 call. And we're going to add this location to Cloud Device Manager. I don't know that we'll have time to go into Cloud Device Manager, but it is an online provisioning system. It's a device agnostic. More than 300 IP phones, types of IP phones are supported on it, as well as ours. As you can see, you get it for free. It is a product that we sell, but you get it free to manage this new tenant that you're creating in the platform. All right, we're going to call this tenant and you'll forgive me, I do this fairly often, but mascot advisors. So you have a business in your footprint. They're called mascot advisors. Um, and I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of these setup screens. You need to set up, you need to give the email of the person who's going to be taking care of this platform as the primary connection. So this can be your email, and this can also be your username. If you want to delegate this to the end customer, then you can put in their email and create a username for them as well. If while creating the system, we don't have all of our caller ID stuff set up correctly, I can set the parameter to update the invalid caller ID to this default caller ID as well. All right, and then I have our address here. So what I'm doing now is I'm just creating the location, the name for the location that is going to be responsible for the cloud PBX system. Now I'm going to purchase numbers. As a LEC, we have a way for you to share your numbers with us so that when you come into this screen, instead of seeing the numbers here, which largely come from bandwidth or IntelliSync or Cinch now, in that you will see your own numbers here. There's no porting involved, anything, and you will just come down and choose the numbers that you want to apply to this user. I'm going to do this in Wisconsin because it's been working very well for me, and in Appleton here. And I'm actually, for the purpose of our demo, I'm going to buy 2 phone numbers. Okay, so now these are standard phone numbers rates. We haven't really nailed down exactly, whether there will be a carrying fee on any phone numbers, Hugh, but it would be minimal, and it would not be at the rate what you're seeing here, 75 cents a month for a bandwidth number. Obviously, you own these numbers, but there might be a small carrying charge of something that we would charge per month per number for the service. Um, Emergency services, we split up the world into callback numbers, emergency callback numbers, and dispatchable locations. With each tenant, you get one of each. The emergency callback number is just that. It's the number when there is an emergency that the first responders will call back into. The dispatchable location, a completely separate concept, is where you want them to show up. So if you have a small campus with 3 buildings but only one front office, you only need that one emergency callback number. It should always call that front desk, but the dispatch will be to the correct, 1, 2, or 3 buildings. We do a lot of hotels or schools where this is every classroom has a dispatchable location. All right, you can put anything you want uh, in these fields, but you need to verify them that it is a valid address. So we go out and we verify this address right away, and we are good to go. We're not going to worry about add-on items. You can add on items to the bill, not that. And then on the payment, you would have terms set up for us with us on the payment stuff, and we're now going to check out. I'm not going to send myself a purchase email. And right now, that PBX is getting built in the actual system. It's about a minute. All right. So now I'm going to come back to my locations list. I'm going to find this brand new customer I just created. and I'm going to take a look at his location. I'm just going to highlight here the way we set up with our standard is each user, we created a system with 2 users. Each user gets 3,000 minutes. We call it virtually unlimited uh, um, uh, minutes of use. And then you can come down here and you can adjust. So for example, we set up no international calling by default and no concurrency bursting as well. So I will turn both of those on and explain those in 1 second. So if you turn on international calling, you can set a limit not only in the number of concurrent international calls you will support. So you might want to only support 2 for a small system, but as well as how much money will we allow them to spend weekly on international calling. So we'll only let them spend weekly. When you build a cloud PBX system, you get 1 call path, 1 SIP trunk in the SIP trunk group for each user. If you have a large system, 12, 20, 100, 500 users, this is not going to be an issue. But for a smaller system, there are opportunities where you could burst over that amount. It's very easy to say, I want to allow bursting of up to 12 concurrent calls above my 2 call paths. Those calls will be billed out at at your cost of 8/10 of a second, 8/10 of a penny per minute, and you can put a monthly limit on that of $4. All right, I'm just going to highlight now. I'm going to do a little refresh here. All of these limits now are also accorded here. So you can always come back and see, how did I configure this customer? If I want to buy more users for this customers, I want to set a user as basically an extension. If I want to add more users, I can come back and add more users. If I want to add vanity users, I can do that here. I can see that metered pricing information over here, as well as the pricing for SMS and MMS that we're not going to go into too much depth today, but just to the concept is that transparently you can always see what rates are applied to your system. If I want to add more numbers, I can add those numbers here. And if I want to go and buy more emergency callback profiles or dispatchable locations, I can do that as well. We also enable your setup of your fax and fax devices in this portal as well. So when you, as the reseller, come in and you want to edit that customer's PBX, do the initial setup, you can just click on this link here and you will sign in as this user. It'll take you there directly. But the other way you can sign in is you can sign in directly into the management system as the reseller. And that's what I was showing you earlier today when I jumped ahead of my presentation. So now I'm signed in as the reseller. I'm looking at, we've talked about the branding, we talked about seeing the call details and the reports. I'm looking at the list of all the clients that I've ever set up. I'm not seeing my client because I came here too soon. And there it is. And here's the client that we just set up. So what you can do now as signed in as that reseller is you can connect as that client. And now you are literally in the PBX, ready to configure the PBX itself. Just going to highlight a few things. You can see all the active calls for that client, as well as all the call details, all the device registrations of anything that's devices. There's a lot of configuration here, all the DIDs that have been assigned. And then this is where you will configure your queues, your ring groups, and everything else. We're going to start up just by creating the 2 users. This profile allows you to turn call recording on for every call or off for every call. By default, we're going to turn it on. The web interface password is the default password for getting into the call panel, the WebRTC soft phone, and this is the default voicemail pin. This can all be changed later on very easily, so we leave very obfuscated ones when we start that have been generated there. Department's not required, but the language is. I'm going to choose extension 5001 for this user. If you want to see what extensions are still available on this user, you can choose them here and it will show you which extensions are available. All right, lots of other settings around the user, caller ID. For the most part, you can take all of these settings. Time zone it will inherit, so from both the reseller and everything, and from the system itself, where we could have set it. All of this stuff can be configured, but for the most part, you can take the defaults and just accept it as you go. You can now, if you apply and email the user will be given a login to their call panel and explained how to use their call panel as well. You may not want to do that because you're just setting up these users. You don't want them, one to get an email now, one to get 5 minutes from now when you're not completely set up. And we're not going to email that out today. But the point is, if a user ever contacts you and says, I'm having trouble getting into my system, I forgot how to do it, you can send them this email and it would get them in all the way. We're going to create a second user. We bought the system for 2 users. I think I got that. So now we have 2 users created on the system. We're going to go and we're going to create an announcement, just the main announcement for the users. So you can upload announcements from MP3 files. You can use the star 60 part of the system to record the announcement directly. But the best and most efficient way to create an announcement these days is with text to speech. So we're just going to call this our main announcement. Choose any voice type you like. I had a California demo where there's a casual California discussion option here, which I saw for the first time. I'm going to choose that one. I've never chosen it before. The system's going to assign the pin for that star 60 process. The text type here can be plain text, but I prefer the speech markup language. And I'm going to just take a little cheat here and do a cut and paste of this. The speech markup language is very straightforward. You can check the documentation here, but as you can see, it's just going to say, welcome to Mascot Advisors. If you know your party's extension, enter it at any time. For Bucky, press 1. For Goldie, press 2. And for a directory, press hash. I'm going to build and listen. You're not going to be able to hear now, but you will be able to hear in a little bit. It's good. It's going to work. So now that we have an announcement, we're actually going to go and we're going to create an IVR. We call them digital receptionists. So we're going to add a digital receptionist. It's going to be the main. And then it's going to play the announcement that we just created. So when people dial in, we said they could dial the extension anytime. So we're going to turn that on. If we had to set up a conference room, an audio conference room, and set that up with an extension, they could dial that as well. And then with the message itself, we're going to repeat it twice and put a delay of 2 seconds in between it. All right. With that being said, we're going to create our options here. So we said 1 ER is going to be able to dial Bucky. All right. This IVR will now show up in the caller ID if that user comes from the IVR, so that Bucky will know whether somebody dialed him directly via his DID or got to him through the main IVR. We're going to do this rest real quickly. And if you recall, we said dial a hash sign and they would be able to get to the directory. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the DIDs. Now, remember, these would be your DIDs, or we call them DIDs. You might not. You might call them Annies or phone numbers or something else in the LEC world. I didn't use the word DID until I came into this new world at Clearly IP. But with that being said, I'm going to take this DID. This looks like a good main list number here with ending in 0. So I'm going to edit this DID, and I'm going to set its destination as that digital receptionist main and apply it. So this phone number will now ring that digital receptionist. And this one, we're going to route directly to Bucky. Right. With that being said, the PBX is built. It's built and we're going to test it, and you guys are free to call it yourselves. I'm hoping you guys were able to hear that. You know, maybe Mike, you can let me know if they can. And it's repeating itself. So and it played, it worked. Okay. So if you couldn't hear that, I'm going to try again one more time. I'm going to try with my cell phone on speaker and see if that works. We'll give it one more shot. And as I said, you guys could call the number right now yourselves. It'll be just a minute. So hopefully you guys heard that. If not, test it yourself. We'll work on that. It's just not a great way to demo that call. But it's there and it's dialable, as well as the other DID will take you right to Bucky's voicemail. So the system is set up, and hopefully what you learned and saw is that you could purchase the system, set up the system very, very quickly. Now what I want to show you is give you a feel for the end user experience on this side. So as an end user experience, you can actually connect as the end user. And I'm going to do that. So just like we connected as the client before, once you click on a user, we could connect as that user. This is our call panel. As you can see, it's already ready, and Bucky can make phone calls right now. He can start to dialing immediately. I'm going to actually share my personal call panel instead of Bucky's because I have a lot more going on today than Bucky does. And so we're going to make that work. This is my call panel. You can think of these as busy lamp fields. I get to watch and see anything I want. This is all permissions based. It's all configurable by you as the PBX administrator. That if I decide I don't want to watch Andres anymore, I can easily remove them. I have lots of display options here. I have lots of display options here. Something's ringing in my head. Oh my gosh. There we go. Display options here. I can do the large display. I can do the large display, a medium-sized display where the options are at the bottom, and I can do a thumbnail display and change the size there to whatever suits me. The little green dot here tells me that they have a registered device, and this status of this tells me whether they're online in chat or not. I can see how many unanswered voicemails Rob has. I can call Andrew simply by clicking this, or text Andrew by clicking that. If there was an active call, and I will create an active call. Well, okay. All right. If there was an active call, I could see that they were active. They would have a big blue item over the top. And then I could sort this by name, and I can sort it by extension. And I can even just arrange them in any order I like and move them around any order I like. This is a list of all the users on the system. And I can, as I said, if I want to start watching somebody new, Luke, I can just add Luke into the watch. This is the soft phone. If I begin to dial the soft phone, what you'll see is my contacts will show up on my left and my call history will show on my right, and I can immediately pick from either list and make that call. I do have a dial pad here. It does give me a status of voicemail, lets me quickly get to contacts or call history from here as well. We have a full chat system that comes with the system as well, just talking about the feature system. So if you're familiar with Slack or Google Chat, there are public channels. We call ours water cooler and random. There's private channels. Bob, Luke, and Gerardo, the three of us have a private channel that we share. And I can send direct messages to anybody in the organization through the direct message chatting. This is also where SMS and MMS happen. So my DID is SMS enabled. So this is where I can read, and I will show you create SMS messages. Again, we can work with your phone numbers and SMS enable those phone numbers. If I want to send a chat, I can send a chat. If I want to send an SMS, I can send an SMS. On the SMS, I can upload a file, which turns it into an MMS, so I can send a picture and send a document. We have call queues. So as you can see, I'm watching 6 queues. So I'm signed in kind of as a queue manager, a call center manager here. There are no on-call callers in our queues right now. We've completed 7 calls today. We've abandoned 1 call today. And this is our total agent count. If I look at a particular queue, I can see that Emily is in this queue, but she's not currently taking calls. But I, as the manager, I can put her back in queue to take calls. I can also take any of these folks out of queue on a call at this time. If I want to stop watching a queue, same mechanism as before, I can stop watching a queue and only watch the queues that I'm interested in at this time. The system has complete audio conference capabilities. Every user gets an audio conference. You can configure it. Mine's not active right now. I can create my PIN. I can put my music on hold, et cetera, for configuring that. You, as the administrator, can set up audio conferences to be shared by the organization. Full video conferencing, it's going to feel very much like the video conference you're in daily, whether it's a Google video conference or this video conference. You can launch that within a window here, and you'll see that it has all the controls that you would expect it to have, including screen sharing and inviting people on the demand, getting an URL to share, all of that. It's a full video conference system. Parking, if I have an active call, I can drag it into a park, or I'm going to try one more time. The trouble is I've do not disturb everything on my phone, and so now I'm going to try to call myself one more time without do not disturb on. There we go. This time it'll get through. So now I'm on an active call. And I can do a number of things. Obviously, I can hang up. I can get to a dial pad on that call. I can pause. I can put the call on hold. I can mute myself. I can adjust the volume of the call, and I can park the call from here, or I can drag the call and park it that way as well. I can initiate a three-way call, or I can do a transfer. I can do that transfer blind or attended as well. Couple more things that I want to show you. Well, let's go to voicemail. It's got a full functioning voicemail system. We do have transcription on our voicemail. You can see I got a call from Bing Yang earlier today asking me for a call back. We have email the attachment. If you have transcription, it will email the attachment and the transcription. Later this year, we're going to do our first AI release on this, and that release is going to summarize, if you want it, if you enable it, will categorize your voicemails. So much like Google categorizes your email for primary or promotions, we'll be able to do something similar later with our AI enhancement to the voicemail system. I can play the voicemail from here, and I can mark it as unread, or transfer it, or delete it. I'm going to delete that one. If I mark it as read, it will immediately start the red light flashing on my phone or any other devices that are connected to the same extension. I actually have permission to look at a bunch of other voicemail boxes. So I can quickly go from here and look at the customer service voicemail box or the accounting voicemail box. As you see, they do a much better job than I do at keeping their voicemail boxes clean. Part of that is because I get all my voicemails emailed to me, and it just helps me to have a big long list for my demos. On the greeting side, everything about your voicemail is self-maintained if you want in the call panel, and the greetings also support a text-to-speech option, just like this one is just saying my name. I use the plain text, and I use this voice to do it. So all of that capability is built in as well at the individual user level. Just a couple more things on the call panel. Call history is available from here. Because I have recording, I can play this call back, or at least this one, which had some duration. I can play back. Contacts, we have a full contact system, so we divide the world up. We have users, those are people who are logged into the system, your coworkers, and contacts, and those contactors can be private or they can be shared. And then within either of those contacts, you can have various tags to help you group, organize, sort, and select them from there. And I have permission to maintain a bunch of announcements on the system, so I get to do that here. I don't have to sign into the management system. So if you delegate announcements to somebody in the organization, they don't need to sign into the management system. Right here is where they can maintain their announcements. Settings is where everything you would expect is settings. So if I'm setting call forwarding here, I can set it here. The find me, follow me stuff. If I've been given permission to change toggle destinations, like out of hours conditions and things like that, here's where I can do all of that. One very interesting setting here that I want to show you is that every user, I'm connected as Bucky, every user gets this call panel, but every user also has access to Clearly Anywhere, our mobile app. Download that mobile app from the store, sign in and scan this, and you will be signed in. Bucky will be able to sign in and without typing anything into the system. I can also send Bucky an email right now that would give him all the instructions for connecting his mobile app. The mobile app is not brandable. The mobile app is not brandable because Apple and Google would make us create one for each brand. So it's not brandable. It's just always called Clearly. The mobile app is always called Clearly Anywhere. Let's go back here. I'm going to stop here, take questions now. And then if there's times later, we'll talk about our device manager or anything else that you guys are interested in with time remaining. There are no questions. All right. If there are no questions, oh, okay. Do we lease phones? Yeah, yes. So we have a great program we sell phones, as I said, direct to you as the reseller. Sell them. They're great phones, manufactured under Clearly IP's guidance. So we're the manufacturer. We sell them at great prices. We do have phone rentals, and those rentals get less expensive the longer the term that you sign on the entire service. In fact, our 250 phone, which is our second tier up phone, is actually currently free on a 5-year term. So if you sign a 5-year term for 20 users, you would have 20 SIP phones to deploy at no additional charge. So the rates on the 36 term and 60 term are the same on those users. You saw how those rates changed in the ordering process, but the price of the phone on that 250, for example, I think goes down from $8 a month or $6 a month down to zero on that 60-month term for that one. And the same with you save money as you go from a 12-month term to a 36-month term, and then a 36-month term to a 60-month term. But yes, we do lease phones. Are there any other questions to go through? If not, if anybody wants to stick around, I'm going to take us through our device management system as well. If any questions come up, I'll try to jump on them as they come up to the best of my ability. All right. So as we said, you got the Clearly Device Manager, the Cloud Device Manager when you purchase the system. And what the Cloud Device Manager allows you to do is whether you have our SIP phones or anybody's SIP phones, you have single provisioning on that SIP phone. Basically zero touch provisioning, and it all through the kind of the magic of templates. Very classic solution to this problem. All right. All starts here with locations. These locations aren't the same locations we talked about, but you have a location. Remember, this is a system we sell completely separate. We sell it to people who don't use Clearly Cloud. We sell it to people who have their own PBX sales system. We sell it to enterprises that have it. You don't have to purchase it, but because it's connected tightly with what we just did, we've pre-populated everything to make this very, very easy. So if I go look, you'll find that we've already created this location. And what you're not seeing now is all kinds of settings that are very, very common to that. So we're heading towards a template that has many, many common settings. So these are the codecs that will be supported. They're tied directly to that, to what codecs we support on the system. and a couple of other things here. The next most interesting thing besides location is the actual template. So within the template, again, I'm going to get to the template that was automatically created for us in Clearly Cloud. And what you're seeing now is even more settings. Um, Date format that you will want in the phone, whether daylight savings is handled automatically. Do I want a 12-hour time format or a 24-hour time format? Where is my time server? Again, network settings, phone settings, somewhere here should be, some directory settings, how I want to handle directory. You'll be able to take all the defaults on this. Um, um, Models is where the fun really starts. But before we go to models, I'm going to go verify that our extensions came over. And again, I'm going to check those. We created 5001. And I should see something for interesting. I'm not seeing the location that we created, and I don't actually know why. Oh, we're going to work with a different location while we're here. All right. And with that, we're going to come and under the templates, we're going to create a model. So we're going to create a model, and from here we can create a model for the Astra phones, the Algo phones, the Cisco phones, Digium, Grandstream. We're going to choose our 270 phone itself. And you see a picture of the phone. That would be true for all of them. For us, you do not need, for our phones, you don't need to select a firmware. If you were on a Polycom phone, you'd need to select a firmware. And then I can create this. I can say this is the sales team 270. So I can create a form. I can create a phone for the sales team that's a 270 model and have a completely different button layout than on the customer service 270 or the front desk 270. The required fields, again, you can take all these defaults. These are just coming over from the previous settings that we had. This phone supports a background image, so I could upload that background image here. And now what generally when we set up a phone, we'll set up 3 line keys. Maybe a do not disturb, and maybe a smart link BLF to the Badger right here. You can also change the 4 context buttons across the bottom. For the most part, you get to change them in each context. But the defaults here again are what you want. So if I'm in a conference call, I want a split and a release and a hold, call fail. But if I wanted to change it, there's something I can change all of these settings easily. This device supports a sidecar with 20 additional lines, and you can have multiple sidecars up to 6. We're not going to do any of that, so we're just going to save this model here. Here it is, our sales team 270 system that we just created. And the last piece of this is the mappings. We're going to add a new mapping. We're going to select a location. We're going to select a template that we just created. Oh, look, our location finally came through. We're going to select a model. This is the one we just created. And we're going to type in, we're going to pull a box off the shelf. It's got a MAC address, 456-789-123-789. And then, interesting. And now I can map a user. So that user will be mapped as registration 1 and will appear on the line 1, line 2, and line 3 solution. I'm going to wrap it up there on the device manager, not to find out what I did wrong on setting that up, but you get the idea. Once you do that, you plug that device in anywhere in the world that has an internet connection and it will provision itself. See if there's any more questions. If you have anything, please reach out to me. I'm bweb. I'll put it in the chat for everybody. Anybody who wants to send me an email, send me one. Again, the goal here is to basically allow you to resell a cloud PBX system right off of your existing class 5 switch, leverage your existing numbers, but offer advanced voice services. And with the architecture, we can deliver those calls back to you, or we can send those calls out to the world. All the inbound calls would still come through your switch, and you would have full access to those call detail records. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it, and look forward to working with you in the future.